What's happening, everyone? Welcome back for another episode of Waynecast, number 76 on the docket. This is actually part 2 to 75, even though it really was an official part 1. But we're all wearing the same clothes, and we just finished recording about 2 minutes ago. Full transparency here. So back in the studio is Chris. What's happening?
Hello.
How's the day?
Great.
Awesome. So we just finished what we thought was a 15-minute episode, which was actually 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that this one might be a little bit faster, but that was a fun episode.
Yeah.
So if you haven't listened to it, we talked about our favorite websites that we've developed and our favorite websites that other people have developed.
Yep.
So go back and listen to 76 if you haven't. This is number 77, if I didn't say that already. Did I say it was 76?
I think you started and said 76. Yeah.
Okay.
Or you said 76 part 2.
Okay. Well, this is 77.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Elvis episode. You know, Elvis died in 77.
Okay.
You know how I know that?
No.
And I'll never forget this because my aunt's birthday, she was, what was she? She was like, I think she was born in 77.
Okay.
And I remember like one time she looked at me and she's like, it was the same year Elvis died. And I was like a child. And I was like, it just always stuck in my head. And I was like, oh God, frightening. So
interesting.
Oh, that's the year she graduated high school. That's what it was. It wasn't when she was born. That wouldn't make sense.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
But anyhow, it's a super long, convoluted intro to what we're talking about today. So, all right, man. So on the docket, we are talking about 5 things, like our top 5 lists of what you should prepare for when you're getting ready to hire someone to do a website. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's what, yeah.
Is that where we landed?
It's kind of close, but yeah, it'll all be in the same topic. I kind of did like my 5 to prepare for when purchasing a website or, when you get one developed.
And did you do an ordered list? Like, here's the order you should do it in. Or did you do like a top 5 list?
More of like a top 5.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So similar to last episode, we're going to go back and forth and exchange our top list. So I'll go first on this one. So I made you go first on the last one. And then we'll just talk about each other's and why we picked it. So Number 1 on my list is think about the purpose of your website. And in parentheses, I have call to action. So it's basically like, why are you doing this?
Yep.
Like what, I ask people this all the time. Like when someone goes to your website, what do you hope they do?
Yep.
Do you hope they just learn? Do you hope they call you? Do they hope you send them a message? What do you want them to do as a result of this website?
Yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay.
So that's
interesting.
Yeah. So what's the goal of your website? Like what's the point of having this website?
All right. I'm going to go through, and if you have ones that are on my list, I'll just like guess who. I'll cross them off.
Okay.
All right. So good. I'm curious to see how much we think alike on the development process. This will be fun. This is why we didn't tell each other what they were.
Yeah.
All right, so that was my first one. It's call to action. What do you want it to do? What's the goal? If someone goes to the site, how do you want them to navigate through it? Because what we find a lot of times is people are like, here's one page, there's 6 call to actions.
Right.
And I'm confused developing it, so I know the consumer is going to be confused reading it.
Right.
So it needs to be one.
Yep.
You want them to do one thing per page.
Yep, absolutely. And that helps with SEO too. So it's
yes.
a little, side note.
Absolutely.
Every page is focused, and that dramatically helps your SEO.
Absolutely.
So my number 1 was have content.
Okay.
So I'm sure you could have guessed that, but have all of your ducks in a row when you're ready to buy a website. So have photos, have bios, a company mission statement, which is hugely overlooked. Like what are you trying to tell customers? And without that stuff makes it so much harder on me to develop a website. It's like, I have no idea. Like I know your name and I've seen your logo, or like, half the time it's not even, or sometimes I wouldn't say half, but a lot of the times it wouldn't even be that, where it's just like, yep, here's the name of the company. We need a website, go. Yeah. Or like, I know what your industry is.
And it's in HVAC.
Right.
Go.
Yeah. So then like, do you have photos? No. Do you have like, how did you start your company? Like why did you start your company? Yeah. Who is your company for? Like all of that stuff. And a lot of the times, like if you have that stuff, you're already like, it's going to be a good website when you have that stuff already.
Yeah. And when you do that, it makes you better as a business leader, business
Oh,
owner,
absolutely.
because you're understanding how content plays a role in your business, which is helpful for social media and ultimately the website.
Yep.
Create media, photo and video is number 3 on my list.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
knocked one off my list as well.
Yep. Yeah. So that's why I have content number 1 before have a goal for your website.
Love
just
it.
so like, if I don't have that stuff, I can't aim your website at a goal.
Right.
Otherwise it's just like, stock.
Yeah. Because at least for my list, I can't speak for yours until we get to the end of it, but at least for my list, like all 5 of these things you should do like before like the website account is even opened.
Yes. Yep.
Like before you even like write a word on the website, all these things should be done.
Yeah.
And if not, like it's okay. Like we walk people through this all the time and
absolutely.
we help them create it, and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But this is like a best case scenario. Here's what's going to get things done the fastest.
Yep. That's what helped me get my list done, was pretending that this is my dream client.
Yes.
Like what, if I had all 5 of these in a client, not only would your website be like done super quick, but it would look great and do what it needs to be done.
Work.
Yeah.
Work exactly
right.
like
And it would
want.
help you in your business rather than just be like a print online.
Exactly. All right. So you knocked off my number 3. So number 2 for me was consider your keywords. And then in parentheses, I have search competitors.
Oh, that's a good one.
So what I was thinking about was how, like from when we started Speakeasy, I looked at all the other podcast studios like in the Midwest. And then I spent a couple of days examining like the studios on the coasts, because that's really where the most popular podcast studios are.
Right.
There's not really a lot in the Midwest, but I was thinking about, okay, what are people searching? Not to start their podcast from home, but to go to a place to podcast. And the term that is number 1 is local podcast studio, which we are currently number 2 for.
Nice.
And I don't know who's number 1, but it's not for long.
Yep.
So consider your keywords, search competitors, and that's where you're just looking at the market. What are other people doing? What terms are popular? What are people putting in their photo descriptions? What are people putting on their landing pages? Like all of that's just good information to have. You don't ever want to copy somebody,
right?
Because that's not your process and it's not going to work for you. Yep. But from an inspirational perspective, super helpful.
Right.
So consider your keywords was number 2 for me.
Yep. So my number 2 we talked about, and that's the goal for your website. So my number 3 is, do you have a brand kit or an idea of what you want your website to look like?
I like that.
So, you can have a dream of, I want a website, but do you have like, what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be, are you an HVAC company that's all about cartoons and you want it to be silly and fun, or do you want it to be super buttoned up and, and I guess that kind of goes back to what your goal is. Do you want it to be, more corporate and aim, if you want it to be all buttoned up and not cartoony, then you're going to have, more professional type businesses coming to your website, or are you going to have more like residential people that's, oh, these guys look fun. And, so what do you want your website to look like? And do you have a brand kit? Cause that helps me go off of, how your company looks.
I like that. And if you don't, that's something that typically we will do before we even build the website. We'll establish that brand kit as a different service. That way you have it because you're going to use it in everything that you do. At least you should. You don't want it to be inconsistent.
Yep.
So it's really important for you to have all of those pieces in place before you jump into a web development. All right. So number 4, this is one I'm curious if it's on your list or not, but it came to me and I was like, it really needs to be in everyone's head when they're building a website. Budget time in your schedule weekly for web development assistance.
Okay.
So basically that's me as a business owner. So if I hire you to build my website, I'm blocking off an hour every week, whether it's to review what you sent me, to create media.
Right.
I'm just budgeting time to get you what you need so it's a successful website launch.
Yeah. That's kind of my number 5.
Okay.
But we'll get there when I get there.
All right, cool. So that was my number 4.
Yeah. My number 4 is, if you don't have a current website, do you have a URL in mind?
Yeah.
So like URL, study up what URL you want to do. And then if you have a current site, who holds the domain, how to access it, Google products, all of that stuff that we'll need to do the transfer. So I always thought that was really important. And if you have it during your site, during a development, it would help out tremendously.
I like
And I mean,
that.
we can always, like what you're saying, we'll walk you through creating it if you don't and hand it over and all of that good stuff. But if you already have that ready and prepared, it just makes the process a little faster.
Absolutely. And there's this app that we use called 1Password that like when you first log into an account, it gives you like almost like this emergency PDF with all of your things on it, your secret code, and you can't lose it because if you do, you can never sign into your account.
Right.
You need the same thing for your website. Where's the domain through?
Yep.
Like you need this kind of this go kit for, all the things where your website assets are collected under.
Yep.
Google Analytics, Search Console, Google Business Profiles, like all that needs to be added to a list and it needs to be saved somewhere.
Yep.
And that just makes our process faster.
Yep, for sure.
Number 5, this is one that's more, I would say advice than anything, but it's choose the right vendor, interview several.
Oh yeah.
So before you get ready to launch the website, maybe you're like, all right, I'm already going with Wayne Media. I'm going with, Knapsack Creative, who we talked about in the last episode, or whoever you're going with. But choose the right vendor. And that's more of an interview process. You're interviewing someone to create an instrumental part of your business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't just say, hey, this is the cheapest. The question I think about a lot is like, how much is a website worth?
Right.
And how much is a customer worth to us? And a customer to us could be worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Is one customer worth a fresh website?
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like if we went and rebuilt Wayne Media, we would probably charge between 10 and 20 grand for it.
Yeah.
Because of the depth and the structure and the, design and the process. And, so is it worth that much? Yeah, absolutely. Because that's worth one client. And then how many clients are you losing by having, a Windows 95,
right. Or not having one at all.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I always thought that was interesting when you said that, like, the worth of our website, like if we build a website, is it worth that one client? Or like when you're pitching somebody, like, do you think you're going to bring in one person from this website? Cause that's going to pay for the entire project.
Right.
And so, or in most cases.
Yeah. And that's what I think about as a business owner when I think about hiring new vendors. Like, is this going to help us either be more organized so we don't lose clients, or is this going to help us gain clients? So you always got to think about the ROI or, the return on opportunity. Is there opportunities here from this investment that can help us grow as well?
Right. Yeah. So my number 5, I did once the website draft has been shown, then you can put aside, an hour to help me out, or at least just be available to, I want you to scope through every single page, word by word, read the copy that I wrote. It astounds me that I could send, here's your first draft of your website. This is all copy that I made up. Like, I'm not a copywriter. I mean, I think I do okay sometimes.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit. You're absolutely a copywriter. But I think where you are at is like, I am not an HVAC specialist.
Right.
I am not a tradesman.
Okay. Yeah.
You are a copywriter, but you are not an attorney.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm writing as if I am, and I'd want that owner, or at least if I were in those shoes, I want to read that and make sure that that stuff is correct. And once I show you the first draft, comb through that thing piece by piece, tell me what you like, please tell me what you hate, because I want to make the website that you love, that you show your family that don't know what you do. Yeah. And they say like, dude, look at this thing. So.
Well, and that's why it's huge. Like I agree with you. Like one of the biggest mistakes business owners can make is allowing a company like ours to write their process for them.
Right.
Now there's a difference. It's like we tell people all the time, like on the speakeasy side of the house, like they come in and record and we ask them for episode notes. Don't write me a book. Right. Just write me like 6 bullet points. Tell me what you're talking about. Or if like I sat with a realtor the other day and she's like, here's my process. And it was like a little 8.5 by 11, 6 steps. Here's how I'm different. I can write 4 pages of content off of that.
Right.
Give me direction.
Yep.
But don't let me create your business, because I tell people the same thing every time. If you want me to do that, why don't I just go and do what you do? And then I'll just leave this.
Right.
Like it's not helpful for you.
Yep.
Because people are looking for differentiation in the market. And the common thought that I think people might pop to is like, well, that's what I'm hiring you for. It's like, no, You're hiring me to consult on your process
Right.
and turn it into a visualization online.
Right.
You're not hiring me to start your company.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
That you've been running for 17 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, all the roofers are the same. They're not.
Yep.
They're not all the same. Junk removal companies, not all the same.
Right.
Attorneys, not all the same. Like, if you think that you're just like everybody else, that usually will tell me that you don't have any differentiation in your company.
Right.
And it's critical to be able to stand out online.
Yep. Yeah. Because as a consumer, I'm just going to find that person that does have that defining factor. Because why wouldn't I go with them instead of just anybody else? So.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to the companies that stand out. So we mentioned Finally Crafted Realty and the other website. That's my favorite realtor website of all time.
Right.
Because they spent the time, not us, but they spent the time taking photos, ensuring their office matched their turquoisey blue that is throughout their entire site.
Yep.
Creating a logo that was representative of the three of them. Like, they spent that time, and it shows in the development.
Yeah. It shows in their success as well. Like
100%.
their website is huge. So many people. I think it's like 600 people, like on average, are visiting that site. And it's just,
that's just through organic. That's not
through
absolutely. Other channels. That's just, it's new users in the SERP for a real estate website in Oldham County, Kentucky. That isn't Zillow or Realtor. Like most realtors on average get between 30 and 50 organic views per month.
Yeah.
That's the average.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So they did things their own way. And that's a part of being able to differentiate yourself in that process.
Yep.
And I had them they were featured on this episode, and we talked about that whole thing, how they're different, why they're different, how they decided to do things. And it's in one of the first 10 episodes. You can go back and listen to that episode with Sam and her team. It was great.
They're great. Absolutely.
So yeah, man, that's it. I think we're in pretty tight step there. I like that you focus on what happens like after the draft, like setting time aside and making sure that, they actually have a time commitment to make sure it's running well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because so many websites we get to the first draft and either they're already on to the next thing or they're just like, okay, great. Yep, cool. And they don't tell me what they like. They don't tell me what they don't like. And, oftentimes we transfer the ownership and never see them again. Or, if they do retainer, then they usually stick around and then, we'll keep developing and changing things. But yeah, if you're, the more in it you are, the more you help with development, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're not willing to put the time and effort in and you're expecting other people to do it, that's generally a sense that you do that and throughout other parts of your business, which is why your business isn't as strong as it could be.
Right.
Because you're leaning on other people to do what you ought to be doing. So it's deep. So, all right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. This is number not 76, 77.
Yep.
And we'll catch y'all next week. Real quick, if you guys have thoughts, if you're a developer or if you're creative and you're doing things on YouTube, just let us know what you do. What's a part of your pre-production process before you build websites? I'd be interested to hear.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That'd be neat. So yeah, just take a minute and then just sketch out your process or link up your website and we'll chat about it on the next show.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.